cheap.
Danny, it was just me, man. I still don't have my timings right with the new intro. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of 0xResearch. Today is an American holiday, but unlike the Americans, Europeans like to work very hard, so we will be still doing the live stream. How you doing, Danny?
Yeah, Europeans are known for working super hard compared to the rest of the world. Doing great here. This is, I'd say, a holiday that some fortunate folks in the U.S. get, and many other unfortunate folks do not get and have to work anyway. So,
yeah, I to be honest, yeah, that's fair. I feel like we don't really have a lot of those holidays. All holidays are just state mandated here, but I guess for you guys, it's not always state mandated.
Yeah, there's just a difference between Fed versus private holiday calendars, typically.
Interesting. Okay.
Anyway,
just to start us off, I will say one thing to our listeners. Crypto's kind of boring these days, guys. I'm gonna be completely honest with everybody.
No,
there isn't a lot going on. So we're doing our best, but if anybody wants anything specific, if they have any questions specific, we also appreciate that. Going forward, you can just join the 0xResearch channel and say, hey, Bach, can you discuss XYZ? Or, hey, Danny, can you guys discuss XYZ next time? And we'd be more than happy to do it, because right now it's mostly just me panicking an hour before, given that there isn't anything. Like, historically, it's been like I've had stuff in my mind that I've been reading about or looking into, and I'd be like, yeah, we have to talk about this. But now it's like kind of a pain. I don't know if you feel the same way. I guess like because you do both Lightspeed and 0x. So 0x, I guess not, because we kind of split half-half, but I assume Lightspeed. Or is it because you're doing protocol based? It's typically just
no, I feel the same right now in the market, just in the sense that, I mean, it's probably also because it's the beginning of a new year. There were a bunch of like announcements in December, in November, December, bunch of like announcements, like end of year conferences and things like that. And it's a new year holiday, people getting out of the holidays and stuff. So I think it has been a little bit more quiet, but it'll probably pick up here, like getting into mid Q1 as teams sort of like get back into the groove. I think that's just a typical kind of business cycle thing, though.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's also the same thing in August, right? I feel like July, August,
end of summer. Yeah,
in the summer as well. I guess like just to start us off, let's talk about this, because I didn't read this. You shared it with me earlier today. So, do you want to talk about this a bit? I know you've been a long time Axiom bull, so I'm not surprised that you're talking about Axiom, but I'm also like, I haven't looked into.
Yeah, it was less of an Axiom bull post in this case, and more of talking about Pump's acquisition of Padre. So I guess something I thought was interesting, and we talked about this a lot in terms of Pump, like how they need to find success, because I think one of the notable problems that they had was that just being sort of like the source, launch pad for tokens, and not really like the venue where people trade the coins. They ran into that issue when, like Bonk for, a month or so took over like all of the kind of token activity. And basically everyone's using, Axiom, they're using whatever, BonkBot, they're using, Trojan, Photon, all these other trading venues. So you could see very quickly like all of the liquidity in the trading volume just like rotate to the new coins. And there wasn't really like any dependency on pump itself necessarily. So I do think like what this data I'm trying to showcase is that their pump's acquisition of Padre is pretty meaningful to them as a platform, like sort of cementing some of that stickiness to like their users, like connecting the actual creation of the tokens to the trading of the tokens. So like owning this like more comprehensive trading platform and competing with those other front ends is pretty meaningful. That data doesn't really show the percentage, but I can pull something up and just show this here. But basically, what you can see if I pull yours off the screen is that Axiom has been pretty dominant for a while. They've been kind of hovering in this like 50-60% market share of trading platform volume. We're maybe missing a few smaller trading bots, and I got pinged by the FOMO guys actually that we need to get FOMO data on here. I think they're probably top 5 or so in terms of trading volume. But if we look at, sorry, that was revenue. Let's look at volume. If we look at trading volume here, you can see Padre was less than 5% a few months ago, back when pre-pump acquisition, and they've grown to now anywhere from 10 to 15% here in the recent month. So there's been a kind of steady increase for them in terms of trading volume market share, which I think is, probably explained a little bit by just this combination of like pumps branding, them being the main token launchpad, and just getting their weight behind a competitive trading front end. I don't know that this is necessarily like, Axiom's a great team. They've been shipping like crazy. I'm sure they'll continue to do so, but I do think just like for Pump's business, this is pretty meaningful to see that market share and that volume growth up and to the right for now their native trading platform.
Yeah, definitely. I guess I have like two thoughts on this. First of all, again, you talked about Padre as a separate pitch back in the day, which I guess is like kind of crazy to think about now that it got acquired by Pump. Crazy in the sense that token holders saw nothing in return from Pump, or maybe they got a Pump airdrop.
They got a Pump airdrop after the fact. Yeah.
And the second thing here is these guys just won't launch tokens. Like Padre had a token, yeah, but Axiom just still hasn't launched a token. I can't think of one trading bot that has had a token. Banana Gun?
Just the early ones, Unibot and Banana Gun. It's been a long time.
I mean, Trojan.
Padre, yeah, outside of Padre had a token, but yeah, of course they got acquired, and then the whole
but like
thing.
Yeah, functionally, it didn't have a token because everybody just ignored the token.
It didn't work out in the
So I don't know. It's like it's one of the most revenue generating things in crypto, and then it just never had a token. Kind of like, I guess one thought here is if maybe the token is used as a tool by companies that can't generate revenue. And then if you are revenue generating, like why should a company go public if it just makes a fuck ton of money in private? Unless it like at some point you need it to scale or something. But crypto companies don't need to scale. They just need to make the developers really good money for 6 months.
Yeah. I mean, you can get into the like pessimistic argument that like the only teams that launch tokens are ones that don't see a path to revenue, and therefore the token is the opportunity for them to make some money. I do think in the case of trading bots, it's like been very much the case that like if you're a dominant trading platform, there's like no need to even bother with the token because you're printing cash hand over fist. We saw all the past, like, who is it? Photon, Bullex, GMGN, like, pick your favorite ones that dominated like all of 2024 and then in the beginning of 2025, like made hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. Like no ideas of launching a token and like sharing revenue or anything like that. I think, if you make a really successful private startup and you make hundreds of millions of dollars, it's like, and maybe your prospects of like continuing that year over year are not very high. That might be the sort of the disincentive there, right? It's like this is a very like competitive and pretty cyclical and like prone for disruption market, such that like I don't know if you want to make 9 figures, then launch tokens, say you're going to share all the revenue, and then like lose market share for the next, for infinity after that. Like it's just sort of like agreeing to give up all the money you made. So I don't know. Maybe that's sort of we'll have to see whether we kind of get past that. That said, I would say like as well, compared to like a traditional, Web 2 equity startup, all these teams are like super early stage, relatively speaking. Like Axiom is less than a year old, or I guess technically they've been building for maybe a few years, but the product in its current form is only been out for less than a year, maybe just around a year now. And so even though they've got a ton of revenue, it's like still very early stage in terms of like the company life cycle.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. The main thing there is, for example, Pump launched, and then like they launched a token. They did the ICO before they launched, and then when they went live, there was like a few days. There were a few days there where they bought back using pre-revenue. Like I think they shipped 11 weeks of revenue over a day or so. That's just, it is difficult because you launched a token. Obviously, people stop using your platform as much. Although with Pump, that hasn't really been the case based on their fees and revenues dashboard. But you lose that, and then you're almost. Some people get really upset, and they're like, "Oh, you're like using all of the past revenue, like you're keeping all of the past revenue." So they expect you to put that into the chart, which doesn't always make a lot of sense because it's just cash that you could use for like more, I guess, reasonable use cases. Like you could, I don't know. I mean, Pump's been doing a pretty good job, to be fair. I didn't love the KOL scan acquisition. I still don't know why the hell they did that, and I don't really get it. Maybe I just I'm so out of the loop that I just don't know, and I just don't get it. Padre is, I think, it makes sense, and clearly it's been like at least semi working out because now they're at 15%. I don't know how the routing system works there, to be honest with you. I don't know how Padre is generating the revenue, but I mean, I think I had doubts at how much money Pump was making throughout this like meme coin bear cycle. But I think post like the moment that anything picks up a bit of steam, the fact that the Pump revenues immediately go up, and like all of the tokens that I'm being shared into group chats again is Pump, to me makes it seem like they still have this. I don't know if I could call it pricing power, and I don't know if I could call it like anything but like semi-sticky nature. Like it is still the most dominant way to launch a token. But Lighters had the same thing. They launched their token and then they bought back. Like they're buying back, at least from what I understand. On the DeFi Llama dashboard, it shows like the revenue was 70K for the day, but they bought back 170K. I assume the other 100K comes from a different time. Although they're doing it discretionary, so that might be different. But it's cool to see that Padre is working out. Do you still use trading terminals when you're going to buy something?
No, I don't.
I feel like I just use Jupiter now to buy something.
Yeah, I've just been a Jupiter guy for a long time. I think they have a good product. I don't know. There's not really much else to say there.
And there isn't that much to buy. I feel like the Telegram bot was when you really had to buy a lot.
Yeah, I think that really like that niche like targets a very particular type of user who is like spending all day staring at deck screener or whatever page, tracking new launches and constantly buying and selling out of them. But if you're not doing that, then I find the product is like not really necessary to use if you're just like trying to buy and hold some coins.
Yeah, I think it's a completely different part of crypto for me, to the point that I don't really know. Talking about maybe something a bit more relevant to us, unless you had anything else you wanted to mention. I don't know why I said more relevant to us. Like it is. I don't know if it is, but we're gonna find out. NYSE, New York Stock Exchange, launches. I'm gonna read this out. 24/7 doesn't launch. Plans 24/7 blockchain platform for tokenized US stocks. They don't mention any specific blockchains. They said they're going to use multiple blockchains. This is, in my mind, bad for certain things. I feel like the main growth avenue for perps exchanges and centralized exchanges was now equities. Like clearly, HIP3 is the next one. No, disagree.
No, Ian says they'll use Hedera.
Yeah. HIP3 Lighter obviously has its own like stock token listing process. Centrally, like we saw Binance start offering equity perps. I thought this was going to be like the clear way for them to scale their businesses. I think it's great for blockchains, depending on what blockchain they pick. And we're laughing at the Hedera thing, but I don't know what they'll pick. Like nobody really knows. I assume it won't be Ethereum, given that it's relatively slow, but it might be. Like if they might just want the ETH heads might be right, and they might want something trustless and credibly neutral, and that is Ethereum.
I don't know how you would post any meaningful number of trades to mainnet though. I would have to imagine they'd have to use a roll up or something. Just for the pure volume, like if any meaningful amount of volume of trades were settled on this on-chain environment, like as a subset of sort of the total trading activity that happens today in the markets, then like I think you'd end up overwhelming Ethereum mainnet.
Yeah, and I mean this like still needs to become, based on what I'm reading, it still needs SEC approval.
Yeah.
But it is like this has been. I remember, I think DAS in New York, 2025. This was the big talk of town, and I think it makes a lot of sense. Like
there's a lot of discussion here. I know NASDAQ has also announced plans to move to 24/7 trading at some point. Yeah. I think the bigger question is like, yeah, obviously the regulatory approvals, but then also the timeline. Like I don't know how quickly that's going to happen, even in the best case scenario. Is this 3 years out? Is it 2 years out? Is it 5 years out? Like that's pretty unclear. I will say a lot of platforms now, like there's 24/5 trading of a lot of assets. Not every asset, but quite a few, like at least a lot of the larger assets now. So we've kind of been slowly getting there.
Yeah.
I guess that's a good question. You said you think this is like kind of, there's sort of like a bearish lean here on platforms that are angled towards like equity perps and things like that. Do you think that's because they would just like, there's a positive angle where maybe they mint these assets like to those platforms?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like, I guess specifically for equity perps, let's do this like this way. If you could buy Bitcoin on Robinhood versus Bitcoin on chain, which one would you
do? Probably on Robinhood.
Yeah. So, and then like what settlement layer is that using? I assume like the Bitcoin stuff will just be on BTC and ETH will just be on ETH. But in terms of like stock tokens, I assume majority of it would be on the big boys. Like let's say ETH, if they're doing batches and they're just posting data, which could be the case. No, I'm being serious. Why are you laughing? I'm being serious. Like that literally might be it. Like their whole
Ian
settlement.
Bitcoin stock. Sorry, keep going. He's disrupting us.
Fucking Ian. No, but I'm just exploring this question. And then like, let's say S&P, would you rather buy it on the blockchain or like, would you rather long whatever Tesla on the blockchain or on Robinhood if you know you're going to get the same settlement time?
Oh, if you're going to get this, you're assuming you're going to get the same everything.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they're going for. They're going for 24/7 completely on chain.
Yeah, here's the thing is I think it's like the wrong question in my view. Like in that I think the way that people operate is like they become a user of a platform and then they just use that platform. So in one sense, like, because you're saying like, would you rather buy it on chain or would you rather buy it on, say Robinhood or even like Coinbase or Kraken? But that might technically be the same question in a few years, right? Like you can buy stock tokens on Robinhood if you're in the UK, and that's technically on chain.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. My thought here is like these platforms are like we've said applications make a lot of money because they own the consumer in crypto, and one of the ways that they're trying to grow that like consumer side is by charging for equity exposure on chain through perps mainly because perps make a lot of money, and then we're like all of the guys underneath are, I guess I'm specifically talking about exchanges, Lighter, Hyperliquid, Binance, Coinbase, Kraken.
Yeah, that feels like more of
can,
a. It just feels like more of like a. It will DeFi platforms get bigger, or will CeFi platforms get bigger? Right? It's like because they're going to adopt all the same products at some point.
yeah.
I do think. I mean, this is something we talked about last year quite a bit. Like, I do think we are in this window where, you know, take advantage of the Reg Arb and you should grow as much as possible. Like, I feel like the goal for any of these platforms should be, you know, you look at the monthly active users on like Robinhood and Coinbase, and they're like millions, like tens of millions. And so I feel like the goal for a DeFi perps exchange with like 50K users should be, okay, how do we get to 1 million or 2 million before these other platforms are like legally allowed to just offer the product that we have to their 30 million customers?
Yeah.
And if they're not completely focused on growth, then like I think they're just going to get trampled.
Yeah. Well, I guess what I was trying to say is right now it's very much like applications own the user and therefore they make a lot of money, but there's a in 3-4 years down the line there's a chance that these trades are being settled on L1s that are served through Robinhood or Interactive Brokers or whatever your poison is. And then like the Dan Smith thesis of 31 billion transactions at 0.008 might work out as opposed to what like because my thesis was always that if you can charge, I don't know, 14 bips on a trade, that's a lot better than an L1 charging, not based on volume and based on transaction amounts. We'll see. I guess that's what I was trying to get at over there. It's a 4-year thing. It's not. It's definitely. It's minimum a 2-year thing. It's definitely not like a this year thing. I would say the regulation maybe approves it this year. Maybe.
I think we're agreeing though, right?
Yeah.
Like you're saying you're worried about an app getting taken over, like beaten out by a platform. Then like the app just needs to evolve into a platform. It needs to grow into a platform. That's the way to win.
Yeah. Yeah. That is the optimistic, happy case.
And I think we've had that view, right? Like at least even in DeFi, you know, 2025 was kind of like our key thesis at 0xResearch was multi-product DeFi is going to win. And like you see that especially so on Solana, where like basically every app is in competition with every other app because they're like the only way to make more money is basically like to just offer a broader platform and add more features. And they're all like the lending products are in competition with, you know, some of the swap products, and the swap products are in competition with, you know, some of the front ends, and some of those are in competition with some of the platforms and the wallets. Like they're all fighting for to like lock in users.
Yeah, and they are doing a lot of these platforms and these blockchains are also, I don't know if this is the right word for this, but they're like applicationizing. Like Aave has the Aave Labs app now, not the Aave Labs app, the Aave app. Base has Based app. I think it's still called the Based app. I imagine we'll get more and more of these. Like it's been so dead in crypto, this idea of like an all-encompassing app, and it's just getting more and more. And I think that's like, I think teams are probably slowly Lighter launched their own app. I don't know if they've made enough transactions on it yet to like be mentioned next to the other ones. But I don't know if Jupiter has an app, but like I imagine a lot of these teams are going to become more and more product focused.
Jupiter Wallet.
Yeah. Phantom, great app. Great app. Like I imagine that's like the next step in the evolving. I don't know how like
that's a great example too, right? Like the wallets, like Phantom and Rabbit, like they've been turning into like basically mobile exchanges, right? Like they went from wallet to like it's basically Coinbase.
And
More
Phantom's
popular.
great as well. I just wish they didn't like kiss your forehead every time you wanted to make a transaction instead of fucking 40 pips.
Yeah, but it's like I think it's functionally the same as if you were a Coinbase. You know, it's like, are you going to use? Would you use Coinbase or would you use Phantom? And like the take rates on Phantom are probably a little bit lower. Like they have to cater a little bit more to the on-chain crowd, but still like they want to take a cut.
Yeah, maybe a bit too much of a cut.
They
But
have some lock-in, so
yeah, I don't know. I would love to switch further. I've been using this app called Payy. I've talked about this before. Doesn't work. Used to work, stopped working. I can't buy anything off it. So if there's like a good, I talked to the Plasma guys about it. I think they're supposed to come out at some point this year, but I'm looking for like a good all-encompassing. It's just like there's these segments, right? Like I think there is chance for a regulatory arb trading thing. I don't know if it'll be lighter. I don't know if it'll be hyperliquid. I don't know if it'll be Axiom, Phantom, maybe. And then there's like this one other app that's like lending, savings, and earn, etc. That's a cash app also. Like these two to me are very clear that it can work, for especially in like a crypto sense. Still hasn't launched. I don't know. There just isn't any. Like if we're talking about productizing, Phantom's done a decent job, but even that I would say is like a lot more crypto native than it is for mass market. But maybe that's the good thing. Like maybe that's you just want to build around your core consumer base and try to grow within them as opposed to try and reach like random pockets of the market that is probably not that interested in you.
I think they're trying to break into it. They just haven't seen the adoption. Like Phantom has their cash stablecoin, but it's got very low usage. Like I think I'd have to check the market cap, but it was less than 100 million when I checked maybe a few weeks ago. Which from 0 to whatever it's at, like if it's 60 or 70 million in market cap, like, you know, maybe that's meaningful if they can kind of slowly grow that and then like take a cut on some of those yields as well. It's like it's another revenue stream for them. But I do think one app that's like quite clean on sort of like the TradFi to crypto or like the sort of bank to on-chain connection is like Squads.
Oh, that's a good one. I need to check that out. Ryan Connor was actually posting about it today.
There's a few apps like that where it's like they very specifically do like one thing really well, and it's like, you know, cash, bank account cash to like on-chain stable coins, like going between the two, and then like very easily giving you like, you know, earn X% yield on your stable coins via we're just gonna, you know, put it in a safe pool for you. This, you know,
yeah, I'd really like just one that lets me access a cash product as well as not on-chain yields. I want treasury or money market funds. I don't know if either of those can be done. But I don't want smart contract risk. I want very limited smart contract risk. But also, like in that case, I think you can just use, I don't know, Revolut or Robinhood and probably get the same access, and then eventually the same stablecoin rails. So I don't know. I don't know how. Also,
the payment thing is, or like the like bank to on chain like app is a tough one too, because I think you get forced into a position where you have to take a fee. Because I know even like Sphere Pay, if you're familiar with that one, that was like I used that product for a while, like an incredible, just like, you know, on chain stables to off chain bank account conversions and like pretty quick, like very quick settlement. And they had, you know, they had sort of introductory zero fees for a long time, and then they had to add a fee because obviously they're just going to burn money forever if they don't take a fee, because it's like that's the only product they're not making revenue any other way. Whereas like if you're an exchange or like a platform or something, it's like you're making revenue in a bunch of different ways. You could incentivize like, you know, cash to stablecoin like swaps for free, like with no spread.
Yeah.
And withdrawals and deposits for free, because you're making money on, you know, the perps and the trading and the options and all that other stuff.
I think that's what Robinhood does. They
do.
Pay you for sitting US dollars, right?
Yeah, a bunch of a lot of the like neobank fintech platforms now give you you get like just under the the treasury risk-free rate sort of on like idle cash via like a sweep program. But they also have, at least I know for Robinhood specifically, you can swap between dollars and USDC with no spread or fee.
That's pretty good.
And on and off board. So
that's pretty good. Maybe I gotta check.
It's hard to compete with that, I feel like.
Yeah, it definitely is very hard to compete with that. They have a good platform. Okay, less bullishness fintech. Let's try and find some bullishness into crypto.
Yeah, MegaETH. A little bit of a hiatus. They are back now, trying to regain some
momentum.
some momentum. Let me pull this up. They just dropped this MegaETH global stress test. They want to do 11 billion transactions in 7 days. So on the 22nd, they're opening up mainnet to users for some latency sensitive apps. So high throughput while the chain is under some intense load. Basically, like they want to do kind of like a mainnet test.
Yeah, like Fogo phishing. I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah, maybe probably see some click farming or whatever, different apps. Basically, but stress test the chain, get people on it for the first time, and probably also try to generate some momentum on socials again. Because I feel like they were very much in the spotlight, and then post sale, like they were going to do their whatever it was, like liquidity campaign or what have you, and it didn't work out how they wanted it to, and then they kind of like killed that, and they've been quiet since.
Yeah, they did raise at a good time. They raised when the market was doing well, and I think
yeah,
no, but it's true. Like, I mean, from
did.
their perspective, it's a great time for them to raise, and they're still above the raise amount, like the raise FTV. So I think it's fine.
Let me show this. They say they're targeting true TPS of 15 to 35,000.
I don't know what the true TPS of Solana is, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so I guess they're comping it to 1.5K for Solana, so they're taking out vote transactions.
Which is, I think, the correct thing to do, although I'm sure there's somebody who will get upset with us for saying that.
So, yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting, assuming, if we could see these numbers, that'd be really cool.
Yeah,
the hard part is the demand question, right? It's like you can do the Fogo fish, and then after the Fogo fish, like you need demand on the chain to do 10K TPS.
Yeah, it's tough. And I mean, you and I both know this. I feel like founders also know this. Like, it's not what it used to be, where it feels like now you don't even see that many like day one V2, V3 AMMs launching on these new chains. It's the developer interest has, and this isn't like a world with Claude Code where you can very easily launch like a copy paste DEX. And I know this isn't what, in my mind, the flow was like new chain launches, you get some form of an airdrop, and then there was a time when you could buy the first bridge or the first DEX, and you would make like 5 to 10x, sometimes even more if the developer wasn't an idiot and would tweet good stuff. And then it changed very quickly to like there were still those DEXs and bridges launching, but you didn't really make a lot of money on them. And you stopped getting airdrops, and now it's very much like you have to deposit or buy into the ICO. You get very little airdrop if you do. And also there's no DEXs or AMMs launching. Like on Fogo, I think there aren't that many DEXs and lending for like V2 forks, V3 forks, which isn't a bad thing. I think like you don't actively want those products anyway. It's just like more of a commentary on how crypto has evolved over the past few years. Like there's a lot of L1s, and marginal L1 doesn't bring in a lot of new attention from either developers or users. So I think founders realize that they need to focus on a lot of different stuff. And like we've already glazed MegaETH quite a bit on this pod. They've done everything they can to ensure that there are new applications on their chain. So I think it should do okay. But I also think they shouldn't be too disheartened if like day one they launch and the market's in a shit place. And there just isn't that much interest.
Yeah, I think part of it as well is that the market is smartening up, and the market includes these teams. Because it used to be the case that it's like you launch a chain and then you're giving out millions of dollars in grants and incentives to like anybody who launches a Uni V2 fork. But obviously that was a waste of money in like almost every cases. Or probably like in 100% of cases, it was a waste of money to do that. So I don't know. I just think, not to say that all uses of capital in crypto right now are smart, but at least some of the very pointless like burns of cash, we've realized that like we don't need to do some of them every single time, or like make the same mistake over and over again. And certainly like just, you can think of like the 2021 like, AVAX rush or whatever. Like we're just gonna like throw $100 million into like DeFi teams, and like it'll pump the shit out of all the coins, and then 6 months later, like, everyone, a couple of people walk away with boatloads of money, and like nothing else really changed. So I think teams are realizing like you can't just like waste your raised funds just like giving away money, because it won't give you any sort of competitive advantage.
Yeah, what would you say is like a good? Okay, so this is what I'm thinking of, right? Like Uber did a decent job. I don't know if you remember 20. God, I'm fucking ancient now. 2018, 2019, Uber. I don't know if you took a lot of Ubers in 2018, 2019. Americans drive. As a young man, I was taking a lot of Ubers, and what probably now costs $10 back then was 4, because VCs subsidized it. Like that's the common take. I don't know actually how it worked.
If you take an Uber in NYSE, it's like $100.
Yeah, and I imagine back then it was a lot cheaper because they subsidized. So that's like, so it's not like unheard of that in crypto use incentives. Now, obviously, a lot of the ones in crypto are kind of wasted and they're not particularly like well placed. But I don't know, like trying to make an attempt at becoming sticky by incentivizing users is not necessarily a wrong idea. I just like,
I think we see better application like attempts at it now. Like I think you could look at we were talking about the trading apps earlier, and like you see the loyalty programs and the referral rewards and the kickbacks, and like these are things that are done, components of those are done by TradFi platforms and fintech platforms in different ways. Like, get some cash back for your credit card, get some loyalty rewards, get some referral bonuses for onboarding people to an app. Like they're targeted in a way where it's like, we're trying to grow, and so like we want to incentivize you to like, provide growth to the platform either by onboarding your friends or like doing more activity on it. But I think just giving people $1 million in an airdrop like doesn't.
Yeah.
They'll sell it and then they will leave, or maybe they'll hang around for a month while the activity is hot. Yeah, and then they'll leave. It's like,
and then they'll call you an idiot after they leave as well.
Yeah,
like they'll be like, "Oh,
yeah, they were so stupid. They gave me so much money."
Yeah, and then apart from that, the only one I know is like actually points programs in typical fintech is extremely popular, obviously, and like in all businesses, like credit card points, airline points, etc., and they do well. But the issue is that I don't know if crypto, like I'm kind of, I wonder why. This is gonna be a stupid example, but like let's say Uniswap, every time you do a swap, you earn a certain amount of points, and then points you can redeem across other DeFi protocols. I don't know, like it gives you a fee rebate on some other protocol. It sounds stupid the way that you say this, but this is effectively how it works in the real world, where you get like free subscriptions and random crap off of.
Yeah, it's just different because this is a pure financial, like, okay, if you swap more, we'll just give you more money. But like there's a very easy way to game that, in the sense that like you can wash trade, you can run strategies, like try to be as delta neutral as possible, but rack up a ton of volume. So it's like they're gameable in the way that like I guess you could game flights somehow, but like you do have to purchase the tickets, and like it's not like you can go delta neutral flights and not actually spend any money but end up with 1 million airline points. There are ways to game some of the programs. It's like, sure, sign up for the credit card and get the free points and then just like cancel it a year later, but it's a bit different, right? Like it's much easier to like game the reward systems when it's purely like a trading. They have to get a lot more creative, I think.
I know a guy who put money into a bank, I don't know, like 10, 15K at a time or something, just because every time you deposited 10K, you'd get AirPods. So like you can
Yeah,
GameStop.
and the banks do those too, right? Open a new checking account, deposit a certain amount of money, we'll give you $500, and it's like you can
Transfer
maybe do that a
from
few
one to
times a
another.
year.
But
Um,
technically on Uniswap you'd have to pay fees, for example.
mhm.
It doesn't work. I'm not saying this is the ideal system. I'm just like, because it's never been explored properly, right? Like I don't think I've ever seen any, like in crypto we write so much about goofy mechanics, or like the really smart people write about credit risk and the really stupid people write about how credit risk doesn't exist in crypto, stuff like this. And then there's no like body of work that is exploring, okay, like we have a spending problem in crypto, incentive spending problem, and all of this knowledge is actually kind of held in small like incentive program managers and parties, and not like broad knowledge. Like there's no exploration of it. It's not. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like if
Yes.
crypto is moving to this like more product focused world, then the best hire that you can make is probably an incentives and strategy guy, or like at least like spend some time doing some research on it, as well as like UX UI. But I feel like crypto UX UI is not as bad as it used to be. Like at least
Getting
like
better
I think
for
it's
sure.
fine. Like if you sign up for a new bank account or a new like Robinhood style app, you have to go through a lot of steps. And in crypto, you don't have to go through that many steps. No, but I
AKA
mean,
you have to do KYC
yeah,
and you
you have
don't
to
have
do
to do
KYC.
KYC on
But
chain.
if we're just thinking about like the steps to opening up an account, the steps to opening up a hyper liquid account is depositing some money into it, which you can do. Like the bridge transactions are still annoying, yeah. And it's much better to not have bridge transactions. No one's arguing against that. But there's also like annoying stuff in TradFi is what I'm trying to say. Versus
Yeah.
so like UX UI is kind of fine.
It's different because in the sense that like you have to do the annoying part for crypto earlier. Like you have to do the wallet and the seed phrase and that stuff like separately from using an app. But then when you use an app, you log in with your wallet, and it's not like I don't have to make an account and sign in with the account and like set up 2FA. It's like you just have the wallet. So it's like the process is different, which I think is good in some ways and maybe bad in some other ways. But I do think like I agree with you on the incentive point. Like I think Robinhood is a great example of just talk about like you can think that they're overvalued or that maybe it's scalping retail or whatever, similar to people have bad opinions on Coinbase as well, but I think if you compare the two, like Robinhood is blowing them out of the water, and like the just product offering and like incentives side of things, like I think there are things that we can explore like within crypto that they're employing to like grow assets on the platform, get people trading more, get new users onboarded. Offering people like percentage matches on transfers from other brokerages, offering people matches on like their IRA accounts, when typically like that's maybe an incentive you'd only get if you have a full-time job and they offer that to you. They're doing interesting things like that, which I think is helping them grow assets on their platform, like kind of relatively sustainably, because people get in and they like the match, and then they just stick around for the rest of it. And I think we're probably getting to that point of maturity where maybe somebody like a Phantom or other could start exploring like more explicit, hey, bridge in or like deposit 10K into Phantom Cash and we'll give you a 1% or 2% balance match. But then they'll have to like get smarter about it in the sense that I think it can't be like a one and done type of thing, because I think a lot of these like Robinhood rewards, they're stipulated on like we feed it to you over 12 months or 24 months. We're not just going to give you the money right now.
Yeah.
They really want to like lock you in and like make you become like a kind of a sticky user. So yeah, I think there's a lot to learn from a lot of the fintech and probably in the fintech and like neobank kind of space, where they just get really effective at playing around with how to encourage users to onboard and bring their money over.
Yeah, and something I think is like very underexplored in crypto. Complete like the balance matching is a bit difficult because I think like Robinhood has the benefit of you can only create one Robinhood account, right? Like I don't think you can create 15 Robinhood.
Yeah,
or like
it's the non KYC thing is always the part that messes with crypto things, is because it's like, okay, if there's some way for me to make 1,000 wallets and do this, but I guess in the sense of a balance, like in a balance match that's like time locked, it's like, okay, I mean, if whether you have $1 million, $100,000, like it doesn't matter if you make 100 accounts or one account because it's just a raw, you're going to get a 1% match on your deposit and you only earn it if you put it there and it stays there for 12 months. So
and
there's
if you
no
trade
way
with it or
to
something, you can give like trading fee rebates based on that or something. Like we'll match
exactly
5%. Yeah, that's a pretty good point. Yeah, something to like. Even this just hasn't been done in crypto ever anywhere. Sometimes people like to try and get smart, and then they're like, "Oh, we'll incentivize users of platform X if you deposit that into us." Ends up happening. This kind of stuff kind of exists, but like, I don't know how familiar. I imagine not a lot of people are, but there are these like large syndicates of like TVL in crypto that'll like go from platform A to platform B, and they'll be offered better rates than others. Like let's say you're doing just based off of like T yields back in the day would be like 4%, and then you would also get whatever like 3% in tokens, like a 3% APR in the token of the native protocol that hasn't launched yet. So whatever value that they're ascribing to it or something. That kind of stuff exists for like large TVL, but not for small TVL and not for like small users, which. And I think if you're like part of these TVL syndicates and you get offered 7%, while like the predominant rate is 4%, you're taking this, you're probably farming it for 6 months and then saying, yeah, these people are idiots, I'm gone.
Yeah.
Afterwards.
I mean, there's certainly a problem here of like, if you're a non-revenue generating business and then you're trying to figure out how you can incentivize people and that can be like meaningfully accretive to your top line growth, like I think you kind of need to figure out how you make any money in the first place. Yeah. But like certainly if you look at, a Phantom or an Axiom or like, these platforms that are printing a ton on trading volume or I mean that's probably the majority of it, right? On swaps. That's like the key. Swaps are maybe like a cut of yield. Those are maybe the big ones right now. If you're already generating, revenue and maybe even profitable, it's like then you can look at some of these ways to funnel some of that into growth marketing opportunities or incentivization strategies to really like fuel growth. But if you're just the 10th, you're just the 10th platform that's like just raised 200 mil and you're like, how do we burn more money than the other guys? Like,
give it to me.
Yeah. Give it to us actually. Reach out. Yeah. Give us a call.
Last question, because we talked about Phantom a lot and then I think we can end it. Would you buy a Phantom token or a Phantom stock? I know we don't know their financials at all, but like off gut feeling, I guess, which is a great way to make any financial decision.
I recall the Phantom privates trading. I'm going to say a number and I'll be wrong now. I don't know, maybe 8 billion
buy
last year. I think a Phantom equity would be really interesting, if I'm being honest. I don't know that I'm going to go out. I don't know that I'm going to seek out, to buy private, but I think it'd be interesting. A token, I don't think so. Unless the token is the equity. Unless it's an equity token. Give me an equity token, or an equity.
Yeah, I would have bought like equity. I don't know about Ape. I would have to look into it, but I think it's one of the few like purely private crypto companies that I would have bought.
It's one of the few businesses that like I feel like they've really been year over year compounding their growth, not stopping, been like kind of relentlessly shipping all the right product integrations. There's not been a lot of great examples of that, like multiple years in a row. I think they've really knocked it out of the park. We'll see what 2026 has in store, but I mean, past like 3 years have been very positive for Phantom, is what I would say.
I wonder if they get paid for blockchain integrations. Something to ask them if I ever get to
like new chains.
Because they're very selective, and I don't know if
integrations. Yeah,
I think they've done all of the right ones for what it's worth. Like I think their selections have been great. I think you can only have Phantom on your phone or on your laptop and survive, which I think is like
you can. Yeah,
you haven't been able to say that for any other wallet. They have Hyperliquid.
They have Base natively, right?
Base,
yeah.
ETH.
Okay.
They have Polygon.
Yeah, they've knocked it out of the park. They have native Bitcoin as well.
Yeah, they have
Bitcoin,
native.
ETH, Solana, Base, Hyperliquid.
You need one wallet and it's banned.
That's everything. That's everything meaningful right now in crypto.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they've knocked that out of the park. I don't know whether they do get paid. Maybe some of them. Maybe they get a token incentive or something for a few of them, but they've had a lot of them for so long that they certainly didn't get paid to integrate like Bitcoin. Or ETH. They raised money to be a Solana wallet, so I guess in a way, but I don't think they would have gotten paid.
If anybody has any information on their financials, let me know. I want to look into them.
They have Monad and they have Sui. Those are maybe the only ones where maybe there would be like a token incentive for integrating, but even then, I think you can see the argument of these were chains that raised a ton of money. So an integration, maybe it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense. All right. Danny, always a pleasure. Thank you for taking the time to chat with me on your holiday.
Hey, anytime. It's snowing outside, so it's a blizzard.
That's nice.
So I'm not going anywhere today.
That's good. Okay. And to our listeners, thank you all very much for joining us. We have an interview with Sid and Merlin
Maple?
from Morpho and Maple.
Oh, both. Wow.
Yeah. With Anastasia, who's part of our Blockworks advisory team. We're going to talk about DeFi credit risk, which is a bit above my pay grade, but I'm going to be there and I'm going to try and understand stuff. And then that's it. And then we have another pod coming out as well, but I don't know if I can share too much about that one yet.
Yeah. So basically, there was a reason that Bach said there's some smart people who research DeFi credit risk, and there's other stupid people who say it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah,
so
and I'm the stupid.
Anastasia is one of the smart people, so
yeah,
she'll come.
So it'll be fun. I think that should air next Monday. So we're all looking forward to that. But like I said at the beginning, if there's anything specific that you guys want, crypto's just kind of like everybody who's listening to this pod knows this. Crypto goes through these periods where there's 4 or 5 things you want to talk about max over like 3 weeks. And to be honest with you, it's tough to run a podcast with that. So if you're not part of the 0xResearch chat, join it and then give me ideas. I might not use them, just to let you know, but I also might use them.
Yeah, get in the 0xResearch Telegram. Actually titled 0xResearch Not a C Corp right now. Another great work of art from Ian and River. But yeah, get in there. It's like a family. We're always chatting everything happening in the crypto markets and other markets at times. Yeah. Sometimes we like to LARP.
Increasingly more other markets. But
well, when the other markets go up and the crypto ones go down, people have a preference to talk about the things going up. But hop in there, chat with us. Shout out if you've got topics that you want to hear discussed or for us to dig into, and we will.
Peace.
All right. See you guys.